In the Venetian lagoon, there is a place where the water seems to stop moving, where a thick, heavy fog clings to the surface like a cold burial shroud. Just a few miles from the glittering, sunlit palaces of Venice lies an island forever erased from tourist maps. Poveglia today, setting foot on its shores, is strictly forbidden. The government locked this land away, allowing wild nature and time to slowly consume the crumbling stone ruins. But a place cannot be truly abandoned if the soil itself holds the macabre memory of thousands. Local fishermen never cast their nets near these shores. They know whatever rests on the bottom must not be brought to the surface. Poveglia is not just a piece of land, it is a monument to absolute isolation. A dark, silent archive of human suffering sealed by dark water. To understand why no one returns, we must go back to the very beginning. The year was 1348. The Black Death swept across Europe. And the Serene Republic was drowning in its own despair. The canals were overflowing. To save the city from total extinction, authorities made a ruthless but necessary decision. Poveglia was transformed into a strict quarantine zone, a lazaretto. But this was not a hospital in the usual sense. It was a macabre waiting room for the inevitable end. Anyone showing the slightest signs of plague was exiled here. Black gondolas transported the infected every night, tearing them away from their families forever, and leaving them to the cold mercy of the island. Plague doctors in eerie-beaked masks only recorded the deaths, illuminating the lagoon with a sinister crimson light. Ash settled on the water in a thick layer. They say Poveglia's soil is still half human ash. The earth itself is a colossal graveyard without a single tombstone. But Venice kept an even darker secret in its naval logs. Hidden for centuries, at the height of the epidemic, massive transport ships where the disease broke out were strictly forbidden from docking in the city. They were diverted straight into the thick fog of Poveglia. Huge, creaking wooden galleons dropped anchor in the dead water of the lagoon, awaiting their fate. And the maritime archives reveal a terrifying, inexplicable truth. Many of these giant ships never returned to port. The crews were left to die in the locked holds. The ships simply dissolved into the darkness, swallowed by the heavy silence of the island. The wood slowly rotted, sinking to the bottom along with its secrets and curses. Poveglia doesn't just hold history, it jealously guards it. Entire fleets of lost souls, anchored forever in the thick fog. Where did they go? Perhaps they never truly left. Centuries passed, but the dark, oppressive gravity of the island never vanished. In 1922, the ruins found a new purposeless psychiatric hospital, opened within the old walls. By 1936, Poveglia entered its most chilling era. Far from the eyes of authorities, behind high blind fences. Absolute control of the asylum was taken by a brilliant but terrifyingly cold-blooded doctor. He believed that for a higher purpose, one could step over any humanity. There was no chaos here, no blood. The patients, already broken and forever forgotten by society, became perfect subjects for his obsession. The island's isolation gave him something no other doctor in the world had: terrifying clinical silence. Limitless power over the human mind. A power that left no traces and required no justifications. The doctor meticulously documented his twisted methods in thick, leather-bound journals. But such dark experiments, hidden in the shadows, could not last forever. There was no dramatic tragedy that put an end to his cold reign. The doors of Poveglia's psychiatric hospital simply closed. One unremarkable day, everything stopped. As if someone pulled an invisible thread, the building was left to be torn apart by creeping vines and a thick fog. Empty, echoing corridors. Rusted medical tools. And the fading memories of patients were left to rot in the piercing Venetian cold. Nature began to slowly take back what was hers, breaking through the cracks in the stone floor. For decades, the truth was buried under a thick layer of dust and oblivion. The island fell back into hibernation, hiding in its depths what was not meant for the eyes of the outside world. Silence became the only master of this place. But old archives do not lie, no matter how deep the hiding places are. The hidden documents of 1936, found years later, finally reveal the true, terrifying scale of this cold reality. Yellowed pages with faded ink speak louder than myths. The files were kept secret for a reason. Behind them lay a truth much heavier and more chilling than any urban legends about restless ghosts. It was a meticulously documented history of absolute power. The real horror lay not in the supernatural, but in what the human mind is capable of when left unchecked on an isolated island. After reading these records, authorities made the only right decision. The island was forever sealed, and its dark, pain-soaked history was securely locked within the rotting walls. The documents were hidden back in the vaults. Poveglia was crossed off the lists, left alone with its shadows and unsolved mysteries. Today, Poveglia remains absolutely untouched. Wild nature has finally reclaimed the ruins, wrapping the cold, crumbling stone in thick dead ivy. The archives are sealed. The asylum is silent. The air here is so heavy and stagnant that it becomes physically difficult to breathe. It is the weight of the presence of those who never left this shore. Fishermen who accidentally sailed too close during low tides speak of a strange, ear-piercing silence. This vicious silence literally crushes the chest and makes you row faster toward the safety of home. And some old Venetians whisper that on a thick, foggy night, over the black water, you can still clearly hear the phantom toll of the old asylum bell. It does not sound like a warning to lost travelers. It sounds like a dark invitation. Poveglia waits patiently, but some doors must remain closed forever.